I don't know if there's a song we can sing.
I don't think so.
Ah, a bear just ate my arm. That's the soundtrack.
My favorite hit single. One of my remakes is that it could be the cocaine Bare Necessities.
Sing it. Sing it.
It's the cocaine Bare Necessities, the simple cocaine necessities. Forget about your worries and your fears. You've got the cocaine Bare Necessities.
I think maybe sometimes we can shorten it to Coke just for the rhythm.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We're not going global with this, but
Hey, dream big, Marriya.
hello and welcome to Remake Hot Take, the podcast where we play studio executives pitching fun and weird remake ideas on our favorite and new media. I'm Marriya Schwarz.
And I'm Brooke Rees, and today we're doing Cocaine Bear.
But not doing cocaine.
Today we're doing cocaine. We're watching Cocaine Bear. We're just really immersing ourselves in this film experience. But
you know, like how they're always like in schools, like don't do drugs, stay in school. Like I signed that pledge, and like that shit was binding to me.
Yeah.
I never looked back. Like I'm even afraid when I shoot my little Flonase up there. I'm like, does it count?
Yeah, you're actually on roid rage. The steroids from the Flonase. Yeah, me too. I've never been offered drugs though. I don't think people really look at me and are like, she can deal with some heroin or something. They're like, she looks like she's afraid of everything, including losing control.
Well, you're not taking the bear hat on the road. You're wearing a bear hat right now for our audio listeners. And I think if you wore that more often, maybe people would offer.
That would be the signal that like I'm a bad girl. Like, she's seen Cocaine Bear. She knows what's up. Well, how did we come about watching this movie, Marriya? This was your suggestion.
It had a lot of publicity.
You know, I saw
like
that
constantly.
a lot. I was reading Letterboxd things. They did not like cater to me. I was not getting those ads because
Really?
yeah, the only thing that I saw was people on Twitter being like, this a cocaine did this bear or whatever the like
A cocaine did this.
Like whatever. It's like this was a shrimp fried this rice, anything of that like variety of joke. But yeah, I was not catered to I was on the demographic that they were pumping out the ads for, because something that I saw was people on Letterboxd were saying that it was one of those movies where the trailer like overhyped it or they thought it was going to be a different kind of movie and then were disappointed. So I went in with no expectations. I'm getting ads for like hemorrhoid cream and stuff.
I like how you're not offered drugs, but you're not offered movies about drugs.
No, they're like, she doesn't need to see this. We don't even need to tell her that this is happening.
I think it was like maybe all over Hulu or something where it was like constantly like that one scene where he's like, the bear did cocaine.
I never saw it.
And then it was at the Oscars too. They had Elizabeth Banks present with a guy in the bear suit. And then the bear suit guy started annoying Malala. And I was like, let's leave her alone.
Were they on the stage at the same time?
No, the cocaine bear went into the audience where Malala was. And then chaos
ensued. Let the bear on the loose. Cocaine Bear is going to do what it's got to do.
Yeah, well, so this was my first time seeing this film. Would we call it a film?
Yeah, like a film collection of ideas. Same sort of thing here.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a big horror person, so it's not like my cup of tea to see a lot of limbs everywhere. Like, so I did start it multiple times. Like I got like 5 minutes in and then I had to stop again and take a break. Because like, you know, I've seen Modern Family. Love Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
I've never wanted to see his insides, but we got to for this.
We got a little glimpse. Yeah. I was wondering why you kept texting me that you had to start and stop. And I'm not a horror movie aficionado per se, but my roommate watches a lot of horror movies, so I watch them with her, and I have since been accustomed to it. I've probably seen like 100 horror movies just in the last like 2-3 years that we've lived together.
How many
So
limbs would you estimate?
at least 2 per person. But yeah, it's something that I was accustomed to. This I wouldn't really call it, I think it's not super horror, it's more like slasher slash like gore film kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was curious why you said you had to keep starting and stopping it, because I was like, I paused once to go to the bathroom and got
I'm
through
not
it
used
just
to
fine.
this.
Yeah, so they don't offer me the drugs, but I can see all of the decapitation and bowel removal
We
that
start with like a Swedish couple or something, just talking
yeah.
about baby names, and then she dies, even though he's the one who tripped. And that is, women, we should not wait. If your husband trips, leave him.
That's it.
Because bears, even if it's a female bear, they will go after you first, because that's sexism.
Yeah, I was gonna say we do have a female protagonist here. I wrote, I take notes when I'm watching these movies, and my first note for Cocaine Bear was, "Are those titties? Do we have a female protagonist?" Slay, girl.
Here's the thing. At the 2023 MTV Movie and TV Awards, Cocaine Bear was nominated for Best Villain for The Bear. Is the bear a villain? The bear is just doing
No.
what bears do, and specifically on cocaine.
Yeah, she's a victim here, and even beyond that, she's the hero in many senses. We start off pretty strong with murdering the Swedish hiker, but she's like, it's passing the Bechdel test. Like right out of the gate. I was like, this is a feminist film, actually.
And drug dealer daddy had to go. Like,
Yeah,
I think that was the true villain.
that's Ray Liotta, right? The
Mm-hmm.
the actor, and
R.I.P.
he passed away, and everyone was like, please God, don't let this be his last film as a serious actor. They didn't want him to go out on Cocaine Bear, and I think he's coming out. I think there's another one that's being released posthumously.
They're just scraping up any CGI remains they can.
Yeah, I know. Oh gosh, the ethics of that. But yeah, people were just like, don't let this be his last.
I think it's fun because 2 episodes ago, we did our Turning Red episode about turning into a bear, a red panda. And then last episode, we did Scott Pilgrim to continue with the Toronto, Canada music scene of Turning Red. And now we're back to bears. And so I
But
feel like
it all comes
just as a
back.
podcast, we've never gone forward from Turning Red. Mentally,
That
I'm
was
still there.
I'm still in Toronto 2005. I mean, if you're done with your first impressions, I thought that this was not horrible, actually. Like I had an okay time. I will say though, I watched it only 2 days ago, and it's already the memory is starting to fade very quickly of the details of this movie. So I don't know if it's super memorable. I think it missed the mark a little bit for like, it's like a Sharknado kind of thing. Like it's a movie where you have like expectations that this is going to be bad, but like in a really funny, outlandish way. And I would say I was with the movie for most of it. And then the last 30 minutes were so strange to me. They got like really plot heavy for the last 20, like even the last 20 minutes.
It's okay. She's a nurse.
And yeah, but like nothing made sense with the last 20 minutes of this plot. And we can dive into that a little bit later, but I would say I was with it for the most part. Like I said, feminist, we love the bear. She's actually the hero. But for a movie that is trying to be outlandish, trying to be like, this is like kind of a unique Sharknado-esque category, I think it could have leaned into it a little bit more. I saw some people on Letterboxd agreeing with that perspective too. I think they could have gone a little bit more into I want a more bear point of view, one might say. Like I need bear POV. And I think that they like focused on some of the characters a little bit too much when like the characters weren't the interesting part of Cocaine Bear. It's not like
I don't think I learned anyone's name.
yeah, it's not Cocaine
Except
Bear
Dee
and like
Dee.
loving single mother. It's Cocaine Bear. Let's focus on the true star here.
Mhm.
But I would say that's like my overarching feelings about the movie was that I liked it for what it was. I think they could have leaned a little heavier into the camp aspects of it. And then the last 20 minutes sucked. Like objectively, the last 20 minutes were so dumb.
There were just like a lot of characters, so that meant that there were like a
Mhm.
lot of side quests that I didn't really feel like was needed, and I feel like
Yeah.
we could have lingered a little bit more. I don't know, it could have been more funny. I think it started out really well with like that PSA on like what to do with bears and then source
Mhm.
Wikipedia. I thought that was really funny, and then that was like the highlight for me was the beginning text infographic.
You're like, once the actual movie started, it was downhill from there.
There wasn't
Have
much
you
reading after that.
yeah, that was that was it. But what's your personal relationship to bear encounters? Because I have been on like several again, Canada's coming into the picture. Like basically the only camping my parents and I do is in like the very rural areas of Canada. And then one time we were up in Alaska doing like a halibut fishing excursion and we went on like a 10-hour bus ride through like Denali, which is like their big mountain there. And the entire 10-hour ride, there was like a little like recording that would come over the speaker that was telling you the Wikipedia article about what to do for every single type of bear. So it's like black bears, you're supposed to wait, what does it say in the thing? Because from my knowledge, black bears, you fight back. One, because they're like a lot smaller than a grizzly bear. So you have some chance of fighting back. But two, they were saying that black bears are going to like, they're not territorial. They're going to get out of your way if they hear you. That's the main thing is to like ring a bunch of bells, let them know that you're there so you don't like surprise them. But that black bears can be like predatory. So if they are coming up and attacking you, it's because they have the sole purpose of wanting to kill and eat you. So if you
Oh,
like
I thought it was like a grooming pedophile thing.
so if you're under the age of 18, particularly if you're a woman, make sure to go to the police immediately afterwards. But no, it's because they can be like they're predatory and they're like actively trying to eat you for dinner. So if you like lay down like you're supposed to do for a grizzly, they're like easy pickings. Like this is exactly what I wanted.
It's
But
just
yeah,
an Uber Eats at that point.
they were like, "Oh my god, I didn't even have to tip for delivery." They came right to me. But yeah, and then they would say that on the speaker in this bus, and then they would say for grizzlies, you want to lay down because first of all, there's no fucking way that you are going to fight against an 800, 900 pound grizzly bear. But secondly, they're not, they're territorial. You probably just like walked into their territory and they're just trying to defend themselves. They're not trying to eat you. So you're supposed to lay down, curl up in a ball, and they'll like kick at you a little bit, but then they'll usually go away. But so it was for 10 hours, this like rotating little announcement. They didn't tell us what to do for polar bears, but I think that polar or pandas.
Well,
But I
that
think
problem is being resolved. Global warming, I guess.
they said the emissions on this bus ride are enough to lower those chances. But so it was a 10-hour drive all the way to this most remote area of this hiking trail that you could do. And we were out there. My mom is deathly terrified of bears to the point, like, it's like almost an irrational fear for her. Like, she is very scared. I have seen like maybe like 10 bears in my life on all of these like hikes and stuff. Even like I'm from a rural part of Pennsylvania and we've had like bears in our backyard before. But she has an irrational fear of bears. So she was scared the entire time. You get these bear bells and you like shake them super loud and you're like, I'm here, bear. I'm here. I'm here. And you just really let them know. And so we did this hike and we were completely fine.
What if you're a bear and you think that's like the dinner
The
bell?
dinner bell. Well, that's the fear with the black bears. But our chances, if you want to take on like a 200-pound black bear, versus like a 900-pound grizzly. So you're ringing the dinner bell for one and you're just ringing to avoid the other. That's like rare though, that a black bear is going to be predatory. They're usually very scared and they're going to stay away from you too. But we were hiking in this really remote part, and it was literally just the three of us, me and my mom and my dad. And we do this hike. My mom was scared the entire time, so we left a little bit early. And then literally 3 days later, it was national news that, I don't know if you remember this, it was like big news. This was maybe like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. This grizzly bear in the exact place that we were, literally like 3-4 days later, the exact hike that we were on, someone was mauled to death by a grizzly bear, and the grizzly was like playing with their skull while like an aerial crew is like getting footage of it and was like shooting down the bear while it was like kicking around its skull that it had like hunted down these like 2 hikers. So my mom was correct to be afraid. And I almost lived out the plot of Cocaine Bear. I was 1 or 2 days away from it, but yeah, that's my experience with bears. Do you have any personal prejudice against them?
I have stuffed animal bears.
I do too.
Good. It's good to play dead around them.
No sudden movements.
But would you be able to tell the difference between a brown and a black bear? Is it size or shade?
No, size. So like,
Okay.
yeah, adult males for grizzly bears 400 to 600, adult females 250 to 350. Grizzly bears are just a lot bigger, and they have kind of a different shape too, in my opinion. I think they have like a little bit more like a humpy shape to them. I love my lady lumps, but black bears are just way smaller, and obviously.
But I don't know what that looks like. Like, I'm 5'4". Everything looks big to me.
Oh my gosh. I think there is color variation in bears. Like a black bear can have like a brown fur like coat and everything.
Wait,
but
so what was Cocaine Bear?
it was a grizzly.
Okay.
I think. I'm pretty sure. Did anyone read the Seekers series? There was like the Seeker book series all about bears. And it went through like, it was these like 3 different kinds of bears. This was like one of my favorite book series as a kid. It was like the Seeker series, and then there was one about cats, which I did not read because it didn't seem as exciting. But the Seeker series was all about bears, and it like freaking radicalized me as an environmentalist when I was like 8 years old, because it talks about a polar bear that her parents are murdered, and then a black bear whose family is killed due to like deforestation and then is put in a zoo. It was so good. It was like my favorite book. The cats one is the Warriors.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that one was more popular.
I've never heard of the bear spinoff.
That was the best one. I mean, I didn't read the Warriors series, so it could have been really good, but yeah, not as many people read the Seeker series, but really good. Went through the different types of bears. Radicalized me early on. But yeah, I watched this movie with my roommate Megan, and I was like, Megan, do you have any jokes about Cocaine Bear for the podcast? And it's funny that you were like, how do you tell the difference between them? Because Megan also asked when it came on, she was like, is that a black bear or a brown bear? And then she was like, just kidding, I don't see color. So if you were like a boomer watching this, you'd be like, I don't care if it's a yellow bear or if it's a purple bear. I'm going to shoot it with my rifle if it comes to my backyard.
Yeah, that's a win for anti-discrimination.
This is a feminist movie. This is a radical anti-capitalist tale about diversity and inclusion.
I just like the part where the bear fell asleep or whatever on that one guy, and he was like, its vagina is next to my ear, and I was like, yes, the women can do cocaine too.
Female liberation. My roommate Megan also pointed out in that part, she said the one remake that she would do is that when the bear falls asleep on top of him, her head is where his head is. So when he says that, I had to run it back. We had to play the tape back. So I was like, what? I didn't even notice that. And she was like, yeah, he falls on he's on the ground with his head facing this way, and the bear's head is also this way, and she falls on top of him. So why would the vagina be there? And then
It's really big.
it encompasses her entire abdomen.
Well,
And
maybe like, I mean, he has a child, but that kid is looking like up there in age, so maybe he just hasn't seen a vagina in a while.
it's been a while. He thinks
Hmm.
it's up near her neck.
Hmm.
Which I don't know bare anatomy, but I think it's relatively down there. But yeah, if we wanted to like go through the stages of this movie a little bit, and it's based on a true story, right? Where like cocaine literally did fall from the sky.
But nothing happened. The bear didn't kill anyone.
Yeah, in real life, I think it ate a bunch of cocaine and then died promptly.
Yeah, I think it had like an overdose. The bear is currently on display at the Kentucky Fun Mall in Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh my God, really? That's so
Yeah.
sad. This bear just like overdoses on cocaine and they like stuff it, put it on display.
And I think
Um,
they like put a little hat on it and everything.
do they have like a little like line of like a little
I don't
a
think
line
so.
laid out there, a little bit of like coke dust around the nostrils. But I love like the guy who was like who called in like the duffel bags of cocaine that landed in his like front yard or whatever. And I just love like, can you imagine that if that was you and you called the cops and you'd have to be like, officer, that's not my cocaine. It literally fell from the sky. And they'd be like, we're booking you. Like they would not believe that. And it's a freaking miracle that they did.
The different spin on the cloudy with a chance of meatballs story.
Hottie with a chance of heroin.
Yeah. That's when the kids learned about drugs.
The much beloved sequel. But yeah, I do love, even though we don't like the characters as much as we love Cocaine Bear, I do love the mom's pink little jumpsuit there.
Mhm.
She's ready to wow the people with her outfit.
They really didn't go subtle in like saying that like this is a 80s whatever film. Like they were like,
Yeah.
let's make it completely obvious. Like the beret, the like Depeche Mode. Dee Dee, that's the one character I remember, the little girl.
Yeah, I don't remember any of the characters' names.
I just remember because the mom would go, Dee Dee, Dee
Yeah,
Dee.
she did, like a vaguely southern accent. And then one of my favorite parts was the bear doing a line of coke off of a severed leg.
Mm,
That was a good moment. I feel like we could have leaned, that's what I'm talking about. That was
right?
like the cinema. And I was like, let's give me a little bit more of that.
Because it's like they were already not following a historical story. So why were we staying into realism?
Yeah. If we're diverging from the facts here, let's make it fun.
Like, I want to know what the bear is seeing on cocaine. Like, is
That's
there
what I'm saying.
hallucination? Like, what's going on?
That's what I'm saying. If we wanted to lean into that camp, I wanted more bear point of view where we have
Mhm.
like, I think it could have like switched back. Like if we go back to the drawing board with this movie, a serious remake could be we switch back and forth between the bear's point of view where he's tripping balls. I'm sorry, she, where she's tripping balls. Like I
Can we
want
say,
to,
should we say balls?
she's tripping vagina.
She's tripping ovum. Ova.
She's tripping titties. She is having the time of her life. Yeah, I think there should have been more bear point of view and it could have leaned into that camp. Another part that I liked was the very end where our like true antagonist of the film, Ray Liotta's character, where he finally meets his maker and the bear cubs eat his intestines like a plate of spaghetti.
That was
I was
fun.
like,
Very Lady and the Tramp.
yeah, they like push it together, their noses hit across his liver as a meatball.
I thought there were some moments where there were like random flashbacks that weren't needed, where like the drug dealer group is walking through and they're like, wait, don't risk it. We saw what he did to that camper. And then we have a
Yes.
flashback to finding the camper, and it's like, who was that for? Because
Yes,
like
that's
we already know what the bear is capable of. They already know what the bear is capable of. Why do we
yeah.
need that?
If we can get into some of my like biggest gripes with this film, that part in particular, that's part of this chunk of the last 20 minutes of the film that I absolutely gave up. Like I am positive, maybe not even in like production. Maybe they had everything filmed, but the editing team fucking gave up. Like I'm pretty sure they were like, we like just can't, we just don't want to fit in when the poor male Swedish hiker kicks it. Can we just have this as a flashback? And they were like, I'm gonna need you to come in and record some audio of being like, hey, remember what happened to that other guy? And then they're like, thank God, let me do like a PowerPoint transition into what happened. Like nothing, I don't think anything else was a flashback, was it? I think that was like it was the only one I was conscious of, and I was like, this does not fit at all. I'm so confused. You could have literally just had that scene and then gone into the next one, like just kept it in the chronological timeline and it would have been fine. But yeah, here's some of my gripes. So that last 20 minutes, basically what I don't understand is like the premise that was driving forward the plot from that point out, mostly because once they, the main, for people who haven't watched this yet and we're enticing you to watch it, the main plot line of the story, from my understanding, all this cocaine gets dumped in all these duffel bags all across this mountain range. One of the main characters, Eddie, is the son of this big drug dealer. And one of the...
You learned a name.
I think it's Eddie. I remember like three names from this: Cocaine Bear, Eddie, and the dog Rosetta.
Justice for Rosetta left in the car.
I thought that's another one. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But so the plot is being driven by the fact that the main like side quest that we're following here is that the drug dealer Ray Liotta, one of his like henchmen, don't remember that guy's name, he has to bring Eddie to go and get these duffel bags so that Ray Liotta can get back some of the money that he's lost and like let the manufacturers of the cocaine like let him know that he's secured the bags, literally, that he's got the bags and that they're gonna like make up some of their losses essentially. And so they go there to do this, but the second that the henchman and Eddie see that there's a cocaine bear, they're ready to call it off. They're like, okay, we don't need to do this anymore. But then Ray Liotta comes in at the last minute, abandons his grandson who has been placed in his temporary custody. And the last 20 minutes of this film are him being like, I know that there's a bear. And I know that there's only like 3 pounds of cocaine left, but we are gonna fucking risk our lives to go get this. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like,
and then nothing happens to the 2 drug dealers that get away. Like there's the whole thing where it's like, he's gonna come for our family. And then it just ends. Whatever.
We're left in mystery.
This kid's just like in Chuck E. Cheese and just being beat up. I don't know.
Marriya, they have to save room for Cocaine Bear too.
That's true.
But yeah, so that was one of my biggest gripes, was that the motivation that it's needed to like carry through with that plot line is not something that makes any kind of logical sense. Because I don't know how much a pound of cocaine goes for, but it certainly is not enough to keep like the Colombian drug lords from killing his family. Like if you're up against a drug lord and you lost like, I don't know how many there were, but you lost like 100 duffel bags or 100 bricks of cocaine and you bring them 2 back and there's bear slobber on them. I don't think they're going to be any happier than if you just said like, the bear got them all. Like, let's cut our losses there.
Because they're also famously germaphobes.
You gotta keep that cocaine pure. So I can see I can see that line of reasoning there. But yeah, they're like, I can't touch this. This has bear slobber on it.
But at least the kids got a fun adventure.
Yeah, the kids had a little after school activity. They finally got to be a part of a public service announcement. They're a statistic now. But yeah, that was one of my main gripes. And then justice for Rosetta, the little doggy who's the police officer who's investigating this case, goes out to take a little look-see for himself, gets himself in this big mess, and then he's promptly murdered. And then Rosetta was left in the care of another officer who, for some reason, they turned into a bad cop for no reason. It wasn't even necessary to further the plot, but they were like, we need to meet her quota that we signed with her agent here, that she was going to have 10 lines in the film. So we're gonna get in the
She was already at 4. We gotta get her up.
we're getting it in her remaining 6 lines by turning her into a bad cop. And then they they leave Rosetta in the car, which she eventually is given to Eddie, the guy that can't take care of his own kid. So I'm sure she's in great hands. PETA probably loved this movie. But yeah, so I'm justice for Rosetta, upset about that. But then my other major gripe is like the other half of characters that we're following is single nurse mom in her hot pink jumpsuit, is going to save these kids, one of which is not her kid, and then the other is her kid. And I think I missed a pivotal moment. So the kid's name is Dee Dee. Mm-hmm. So Dee Dee and I don't know the other kids. Dee Dee,
Henry, Dee
Dee, Henry are out there, doing a couple lines, having fun. And then Dee Dee gets dragged off into the woods by Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, and why?
That's the other major plot point that's not really touched on. Why
that was her mother instincts coming
That's
in.
what I was like, okay, if we're gonna give them an explanation, I guess it's like she brought her back to the cave and was like, here, you're also a little cub, like I'll bring this one back. But
adopt, don't shop.
See, Cocaine Bear again is the hero of this story. She was like, these kids are out here unsupervised doing cocaine. What kind of mother would let their child do that? I'm going to bring him back. But it just totally went unexplained why Cocaine Bear would spare her life, or why it would take her all the way back to the cave. Because it wasn't like, I don't know if it was like a snack for later kind of situation.
Yeah, like, because everyone else was eating in the moment. There wasn't it wasn't like a meal prep situation.
It could have been though. Cocaine Bear. Okay.
But why would you want to prep the smallest of your kills?
I'm actually back on board. This was meal prep for her children. She was like, this one is a to-go snack. She's travel sized, one might say. And she brought her back to the cave, and
kids, she's like, HelloFresh is here.
Kids, follow the instructions on the card. Very easy for novice cookers.
But then they got into the cocaine.
Then the bears did get addicted, so she was no better than nurse mom. She realized that she herself was a bad influence. But yeah, the fact that Mama Bear has 2 little coked up kids is like one of the bigger twists in this story too. And I was just like, no. But the second that Ray Liotta's character starts like kicking the little cubs, I'm like, no. I was like, I am on mom's side. And I got like, that was the only part in the film where I got emotional. I was like, Cocaine Bear can't die with her children being kicked around by this bastard. So then I did cheer when she had her last little whiff of coke and sprang right up. Other memorable moments was the ranger. What has that lady been in? She's like a prolific. Yeah, she's a prolific actress. I couldn't place what I knew her from, but she's one of those where I know her face, but I can't.
And then we got to see her face slide on asphalt.
That was a great moment. That was perhaps the best scene. I loved that little sequence with the EMS responding to a concussion and walking in on that. That was very gruesome. And it was one of those ones where like, I don't cringe like outwardly at stuff like the limb removal or the bowel things, but anytime in any sort of film there's any like head trauma, I feel like I can feel it. And I was like, imagine what road rash on your freaking eyeball would feel like when you're not able to move your arms. She was a questionable character, but she definitely did not deserve that fate.
Well, hopefully her and the Smokey the Bear forest ranger guy are together
in heaven, maybe purgatory.
I really liked the part where the bear just like goes, like the bear paw goes into frame and grabs the bag of carrots. I think that was one of the best moments for me. I also really enjoyed the line, "You're more than a drug dealer. You're my friend. You're my best friend." I think that's one of the best lines of cinema.
We love men being open about their feelings.
Also, it was such a quick switch where like this guy, the Jersey guy, I don't know, I don't remember his name, just the man in the jersey, he's like dying out. And then suddenly a nurse comes and suddenly he doesn't need medical attention. He can take care of a dog now.
Yep.
That quick little switch.
He has a bowel perforation, but he's good to go.
I also feel like Henry and Dee Dee are going to get married in the end because of trauma bonds.
Yeah.
Also, how do you explain this to Henry's parents?
I don't think you can in a in a manner that they would understand. It's hard raising kids, especially when they go out into the woods and do cocaine with a bear.
Yeah.
Which is
I hope she hasn't lost her love for art.
Yeah, she was squirting her little paint tubes as she's being dragged away.
Now Dee Dee's mom is being called into school of why she's only painting dismembered limbs.
They're like, okay, so this is a little creepy, but we do think that Dee Dee has potential for anatomical drawings for medical school books. They're like, she really got the curve of that colon perfect.
Mm-hmm. You mind if I do a little Who's Your Daddy first?
Yeah, go for it.
So last time we actually talked about O'Shea Jackson Jr., who again is the son of Ice Cube. And then Alden Ehrenreich has kind of always been in the world of acting. He's the one who plays the Eddie, I think you named him. So he is named in real life after the director Phil Alden Robinson, a family friend, and he was discovered by Steven Spielberg after he acted in a video with Spielberg's daughter for a friend's bat mitzvah. Spielberg saw it and got him an agent. So wish I was friends with Steven Spielberg's daughter. That would have opened a lot of doors.
That would have.
Instead, I've just if your parents Brooke can do anything for me, let me know.
I don't think so. They could. Do you want a free pap smear? My dad could arrange that. If you'd like.
Thank you.
But that's where the benefits of having an OBGYN dad pretty much end there. Unless Steven Spielberg's daughter needs a good OB-GYN recommendation.
That's our in.
That's our in.
So remake time.
We started off with one of my small remakes, which is the Cocaine Bare Necessities. Should have been the theme song of this movie, as well as more serious ones about just tuning up that ending 20 minutes, maybe refining something, but for sure getting rid of the flashback. And then some minor like costuming things. I think Cocaine Bear should have had a cocaine pinky, or whatever they call it, where she has one little long claw on her paw, perfect for scooping up and then doing a line. So, it's that attention to detail that I think really would have just sent this movie into cult classic territory. And then another one, small thing here, I think they should have let the bear do other drugs as well. I think, if we're being real, if you're someone that does cocaine, I think you do more too than just cocaine. It's not like you probably don't like take a Tylenol one day and then like jump to coke the next. There's probably some stepping stones in between there, or at least my like 8th grade drug awareness class taught me. So I think we could have seen Cocaine Bear, like doing a line of coke to wake up in the morning, then like, I don't know, a couple shots of heroin to bring her back down to like a nice even pace there. Smoking.
She's a mom. She has stuff to do.
She's busy. So, these could have been short little like clips there, but she, she's not going to be high all the time. She's going to get her stuff done. So yeah, the bear should have been allowed to do more drugs.
Well, because there was also that one part where they're all watching the bear do cocaine and the cop is like, wait, let's just see what happens. And I'm like, you're not a scientist. What are you doing?
Where's the control group? Do you have one bear doing cocaine, one bear doing nothing, one bear doing something else? But and then that would segue into my next one. I think we need to have a cocaine bear like cinematic universe here. So we have the cocaine bear, then we get other famous bears involved. Like, you know, she's famous in her own right, but I think we bring in the troops here. So Smokey the bear, cigarettes, obviously, it's in the name already. Smokey does cigs. I think we can have
I start forest fires.
I start forest fires when I don't put out my little cigarette butts here. I think Pooh Bear should be on bath salts. I think I would like to see him. He's already running around half naked anyways. He takes the top off. He starts to eat like Tigger or something. Pooh Bear on bath salts. And then Paddington, he's doing heroin for sure. He's nice and mellow, just leading you on an adventure. He's doing heroin. So that's another potential spin on this. I think we can really expand the universe. And then finally, and this is the big one, Cocaine Bear should have been narrated by David Attenborough. Attenborough. And I can do an artistic interpretation here. We go doc style, you know what I mean? We go nature documentary and we really lean into that. But I can't really do an old male British accent, but it could be like the big males battle for the best fishing spots. Oh, and look here, a female, one with 2 young cubs approaches. It's custom for them to fish in this river for salmon, but it looks like she's caught something much zestier for tonight's meal. 5 pounds of cocaine. Let's watch.
I like it. What if it's the person who did the honey badger? Remember that, like, honey badger don't give a fuck?
Honey badger don't give no fucks. Was that in a documentary? I just
I
only know meme form. So yeah, that person could be invited in too, but I think we get a soothing British male voice, preferably David Attenborough, and he looks at this from a zoomed out lens here, and we do more of a nature doc, and I think that would have been so perfect. But what about you, Marriya?
I wanted a cocaine bear too, where the cocaine bear mama comes back to the cave and the cocaine cubs have put up an intervention sign. And then the story tells of the cocaine bear's rehab experience, because I don't like the way that the original historical story ends with an overdose, and I think we can stop it.
Yeah, we need to intervene now before she goes too far.
And I think the famous bear that you were missing, I would change the title to Goldilocks and the 3 Cocaine Bears. If you remember the typical fairy tale, she just kind of runs away at the end. She tests out all of the bear's shit, and then she just kind of runs out. And I think she gets away too easily. So
we have stricter punishment for breaking and entering.
Goldilocks comes in while they're waiting for their cocaine porridge to cool. She tries a little bit of cocaine. It's too much, too little, then it's just right.
Just right. The perfect tie.
And then the cocaine bears return and they maul her to death. And it's a lesson in not breaking and entering.
It's a lesson in defending your property.
You think it's going to be a drug story, but it's actually trespassing.
Yeah, the worst crime of all. I love it.
So, Brooke, what have you been watching lately?
Okay, I've actually watched the movies this week because basically I was forced to, as everyone who's watched the podcast for the last 3 or 4 weeks knows. I've been on a Vampire Diaries kick. I'm now on like season 4, episode 3, I think. For everyone that's following along, end of season 3 finale was a shocker. I mean, it wasn't a shocker because I had gotten a spoiler, but I didn't know when the event of season 3 last episode was going to happen. And now we're moving into season 4. Elena has become a little bit more insufferable, in my opinion. Everyone always said she was annoying. I didn't think she was annoying the first 3 seasons. Now she is a little bit annoying, and I just want her to like get it together.
Throwing a cocaine bear. I think it educates the children. You know, I don't think Dee Dee and Henry are acting out anymore.
No.
So throwing a cocaine bear and Elena might wise up.
she'll mature real quick. She's been through a lot though. Vampire Diaries does not hold back. She has had the trauma of millions of cocaine bears. My roommate who I watch it with, she's in med school. She's been on a surgery rotation. So we finished the finale of season 3, and then I have not been able to watch any more Vampire Diaries because I watch it with her for like 2 weeks, a week and a half. So I like rediscovered my Disney Plus subscription and was going through some of those movies. So, and I recorded them on my Letterboxd for the sole purpose of being able to tell you guys what I was watching. So I watched Sky High, which was good. Marriya was offended that I gave it 3.5 stars. It was solely because I didn't like Royal Pain's like mastermind plan, which was just to turn them all into babies. I didn't remember that when I like first turned it on, and then I just wasn't impressed with that. Then I watched Sister Act, which I gave 3 stars. I
Is
liked
that because you're an only child?
Yes. If it had been called Only Child Act, I would have bumped it up at least half a point. Great movie. I love the first little song that they sang, is an absolute bop, but I think the ending was a little bit rushed. I think I was wanting for a little bit more. Then I watched Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Just beautiful. 5 stars from Brooke. Love this movie so much. Makes me sob. What a great soundtrack too. Just brilliant movie. Then I watched Aquamarine, another 5 stars. Have you seen Aquamarine?
The fact that gets 5 stars and Sky High doesn't is insane.
It's deserved, Marriya. It is so much better than Sky High. Like leagues above. It is so good.
One character with powers versus everyone having powers.
She's a mermaid. There's not a single mermaid at Sky High. It's a beautiful movie about friendship and love.
So is Sky High. Sky High is about the underdogs.
No, it's not. You're losing this argument. Aquamarine, objectively better. But like no one that I know has seen this movie. Like I texted my group chat. None of them had freaking seen it. I was like, you uncultured swine. We stopped being friends in that moment. But this was like such a go-to.
Yeah, so maybe don't ice me out over Sky High.
Well, you're in disagreement with me. It's I'm either taking friends with Aquamarine 5 stars or they gotta go. So it was one of like, I don't know if you had like a DVD like little flip book thing that you had growing up, but it was like one of the ones in my DVD flip book, so I had constant access to it and would rewatch it.
I didn't have Aquamarine on DVD. What I did have was Sky High on DVD.
Okay, then we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. No, okay, maybe I should have given Sky High 4 stars. I just thought the end was a little abrupt, and like we don't learn that many lessons because Will, first of all, I don't think Will is in the wrong that often. Like he is like ignoring his friends, but like not really. He apologizes immediately. He doesn't even want the party to be there. I think that Layla should not have even ended up with Will. Like it was there's so many things that I would. Should we do Sky High next? Sky High and Aquamarine for the next pods. And then lastly, I watched Princess Bride, another 5 stars. Great movie. I think people who quote from it obsessively make this movie. No, you do not quote from it obsessively. You have like 1 t-shirt. But people that quote from it obsessively ruin the culture a little bit for me, but on its own, ignoring the uber fans of it, 5-star film. Couldn't ask for more. But what about you, Marriya? What have you been watching?
I didn't watch many movies. I've been still watching Ted Lasso. which we've talked about before. It's funny. I think we're kind of in a slump period with it a little bit. I'm waiting for it to pick up again.
Are
They
they
just keep losing.
losing like the soccer games? Or okay. Is this their last season of Ted
I
Lasso?
think so. And it's like they're putting so much into it that I'm not sure how it's going to wrap up.
Hmm.
So I'm not totally sure where that's going. I saw Schmigadoon. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I think they could be more absurdist. Like it's supposed to be kind of like a satire of typical musicals. I think Gallivant is so much better than Schmigadoon personally. Schmigadoon is just like not funny enough. It's just like blends in with the musical scene while Gallivant actually like made funny things out of it. That's my take for context on Who's Your Daddy. Cecily Strong, who's one of the leads, in a 2021 interview with Terry Gross on the National Public radio program, she said that because her uncle is a Broadway producer, she often got to attend a lot of Broadway shows and go backstage to like meet with the cast. So she had some kind of connections there. And then I also watched and finished Jury Duty, which we've talked about before. So finished that. And they do end up like explaining how the TV show works in the end. I think they should have done that from the beginning. And basically, in the end, they're like, they tell the guy, Ronald, like why they did all this. And it's like, well, because you've been watching a court case, but really this has been a court case of your character and we're naming you a hero. But that wasn't really what they explained as the premise of the show originally. So
So they
I
like
feel like they
switched
just
it up.
bullshitted that.
Well, was he upset? How did he take it?
No, he was fine. He was just like, what? And they're like, this is the whole premise is that we were trying to see like if you were still a good person. And I'm like, that wasn't explained to us at all.
Why would they think that he would be a bad person?
Well, they
Like,
put him through like all this shit about like having to deal with James Marsden as like a diva personality and stuff. And he did like handle it all in grace, but I didn't realize that that was like what the experiment was. I thought
yeah,
it
like
was
why
just,
is his character being tested at all?
yeah, I thought it was just like, let's do a jury duty thing and have this random guy. I didn't realize that there was actually a hypothesis or a test to it at all. So that was interesting, but they didn't base that in the beginning.
What a guy though, because the way I would have trust issues, like I don't even like when someone finds out about something and like I hear about it like a day later. Like I was the only one in the friend group to not hear about it until like the next day. I'm like,
Well, he got like $100,000. Like he's fine.
oh, did he? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't realize there's. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
I was
also
like,
wasn't explained in the beginning either.
okay, that makes me feel better. I'm like,
Mhm.
why are we manipulating these people? But 100,000, I'd be like, do it again. Round two. I'll pretend
And
not
now
to
he's
know.
doing like media coverage and stuff, and he hangs out with like James Marsden on the daily, so he's fine. He's
Can you
good.
imagine? Can you imagine if he like gets like an actual summons for jury duty?
That's what
Like,
he says in the end. He's like, I just realized this means that I'm still eligible.
yeah, like if he gets picked again, he's gonna be like,
This is a joke.
he's gonna be looking around him. He's gonna be like, guys, where are the cameras? You can't do this to me a second time. Is there gonna be a second season? Oh yeah, that's funny.
And then I've been watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I had high hopes for, and it is awful.
Oh
It's
no.
one of the worst things I've seen. The big issue that everyone had with it is that Midge Maisel has just become insufferable as a character.
Mm.
Like everyone is trying to get her into comedy, and she's like, no, my ego is too big. My pride is too big. I need to do it on my terms. And she's just more insufferable this season. Like, basically, like the Tonight Show. And they're like, we can't get you on as a comedian, but we'll take you as a writer. And she's like, well, I'm not a writer. I don't write for other people. And it's like, girl, just take the win. You're the first
Oh.
writer at the Tonight Show. Can you just
Mhm.
like take it? And so she takes it on and she doesn't know how to do it. And she's like, this isn't for me. And it's like, well, you learn how to do a job. That's how
Mhm.
jobs work. Like just because
Yeah.
you're not good at something on the first day, you stick it out. And that maybe is just because I want to write for a comedy show and I'm just angry. And
Like
then
you
they
bitch.
do They randomly started doing fast forward sections this season.
Oh.
And it's like really bad aged makeup where she's talking about like how she got fame, but everyone in her life hates her because she's insufferable.
Mhm.
And she traded all that. And I think the big like motivation for the series was like, is Midge Maisel gonna make it as a comedian? But then with these fast forwards, we know she is super famous. So then it
Mhm.
just feels like there's not really any point of watching the series. I want to finish it just to get it over with, but I don't know why they took this approach to it. And then I did watch all of Abbott Elementary. I don't know if you've seen Abbott Elementary, but basically, my therapist suggested it because we both know that I need more drugs. Not a psychiatrist, she can't prescribe me anything. So she was like, why don't you try Abbott Elementary and see if you feel anything?
Why don't you watch one episode twice daily for 30 days?
That
And
literally, she was like, that's my
I
suggestion for you.
feel
It was definitely, I think, hard for me to get into because it's definitely more like cringe comedy that is a little bit difficult. And I think there are a lot of elements that are kind of like The Office or like Parks and Rec. Like there is like a Jim and Pam type romance. There is like a Leslie Knope kind of character. There is kind of like a Michael Scott character. But I think, and maybe it's just because like I work in education as a professor. And so like it's not as low stakes. Like with Dunder Mifflin, like it's a random paper company in Pennsylvania. If they want to spend all their money on like a Christmas party, I don't really care. But when it's like children's education, I'm like,
like
ah.
they're the future. You're like, you can't mess up my work.
I'm like, I know everything's
Pay
bad,
the
but
budget.
please teach them grammar so that when they come to my level, I don't have to teach them like subject verb agreement.
Oh no.
And it's like the Michael Scott kind of character is the principal who's like spending all of the district money on like massage tools and like foot baths. And like that's harder for me to kind of grasp as like a fun kind of character and more like that's a villain who's killing
Like,
the children of America.
yeah. Yeah, I get that. Like he's just irresponsible. Like
Mm-hmm.
Michael can Scott's taught him, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't want the principal to do that to
Yeah.
them.
So it's a little bit less low stakes than like a comedy series I'm used to. So it took a while to get into, but I did enjoy it.
Okay.
Um and then the one movie that I did watch was Game Night, which was like 2018 or something with Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman. And so it's all about like them meeting at a trivia night and then a murder mystery that ends up actually being a murder and all that fun stuff. Never has happened to me at a trivia night. So that's a little bit disappointing. But I did enjoy it. It was like it was pretty fun.
I love Game Night. Probably one of my favorite new releases within the past 5 years. I love that.
I like it when it's like, is this all part of the game night thing? I don't know. I like stuff like that where it's like a normal couple.
It's mixed up in a
There was another one, Lovebirds. I like it when it's like wacky couple ends up in a strange situation.
in a
Um,
sticky situation.
but Jason Bateman's dad was Kent Bateman, who was a movie producer and director. And not really nepotism, but Rachel McAdams, her maternal fifth great grandfather, James Gray, was a loyalist ranger during the American Revolution and fled to Canada after the Battle of Saratoga.
That really helped her in the industry today.
I will say I'm currently looking for a job because my current institution cannot pay me a livable wage. So I don't know who listens to this. But if you know of a job or you're hiring, I'm a freelance writer, I'm an editor, I'm a graphic designer. I got the Adobe suite. I teach, I do social media, TikTok, especially. I can run your brand of TikTok. I'm really good at that. So if you hear anything for me, because you know, I've been crying myself to sleep every night, but you can change that. I'm trying to do like kind of like a PSA for like
Only
for the
you have
price
the power.
of a cup of coffee every day.
Only
You
you
can
have the
change
power
that.
to prevent Marriya's major depressive disorder. Yeah, I mean, if you have 2 jobs, I have none of that, but I have a great personality. So you can hire me part-time because I
Yeah.
have a full-time job.
Yeah, and it's also because my job is part-time and it's like 12:50 to 2:10. So if you know a job that works around those hours, that would
Nice.
be great.
Very specific. All right, well, where can they find you, Marriya, to send you their job posting?
At Marriya Schwarz on all media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Letterboxd, Gmail. I will spell it because I'm desperate. MarriyaSchwarz @gmail.com.
Spell at Gmail. What if they don't know how to
Oh,
spell
sorry. At sign. I'm doing it like the Mickey Mouse. You're watching Disney Channel.
And you're watching Unemployment.
GMAIL period COM.
There we go.
I'm an adjunct professor and I can teach at your institution or do anything else. But I'm also disabled, so I can't lift things.
No lifting.
So I can't work retail or most restaurant jobs.
There we go.
So keep that in mind.
Imagine you get job offers via Letterboxd.
That would be great.
Comment on a review. Well, you can find me for job inquiries or hate mail and
we've gotten a lot of hate lately.
It's like mild.
I love how like last time you were like, bring me the hate. All press is good press, and then you got hate mail.
No. It's okay. We had a bit of a controversy on a Scott Pilgrim take, which I think was just because they didn't watch any of the podcast other than a small section. But they're not attacking my character; they're just attacking my intelligence. So that's fine.
Called me illiterate.
That's okay. But I am at what am I at? B_Reese Cup on Instagram, ReesBrooke1 on Twitter, BL Rees at Letterboxd.
Something like that. You
like
have
that.
a lot of different aliases.
I keep
we need to streamline.
Well, it's because there are other Brooke Reeses, so I can't do. I have switched up every time because they're like, "Sorry, that's taken." It pays.
I don't have that problem.
It pays to have a name that you can not give your real name to Starbucks because they'll fuck it up. But at least you have the Gmail. So yeah.
And you can find the podcast at Remake Hot Take on all accounts: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Gmail. Please give us a sponsorship. I don't know. We want to make money. I'm afraid. I've been watching videos that are like, you're not going to get noticed for the next 4 years. And that's an entire college education.
Yeah, so if you want to speed up the process, HelloFresh, we mentioned you in this podcast.
Cocaine.
Any drug lords out there looking
for
you want
us to sponsor your product?
We won't test it, but we'll make sure to give it the gold stamp of approval.
Practice fire safety and forest safety. Bye.
Good to end on a positive note.